Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Was the Master of the Mystic Arts. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, and also yes, a new series will be coming over on Anime Symbol today, so stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. Yes, I need a 4 of them which I post What If on every single day. Links will be down in the description, and if you want your What If to be done by me, I'll be taking your ideas and putting them in a poll, and the highest viewing one will be done by me guys. That's what's going on over an Anime Symbol guys. So yeah, I'm just taking some time to take in your ideas, so go ahead and check out Anime Symbol down in the description, and stay tuned for the rest of What If's coming your way guys. So without further ado, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now guys. So, to do a bit of a recap from the last part we left off, Inoichi Yamanaka went to visit his daughter. Her name was Ino Yamanaka, as she was in a mental hospital. She wasn't this way from the beginning. They moved into a new house, and when they got there, she complained that she was seeing things. Him and his wife did not take it as seriously as first, as they believed that she was just imagining things. However, she started to become more withdrawn, and from there the effects started to happen, and she started to change. She started closing on herself. She stopped speaking to people. She started to not eat, and it started to become a real problem. So he brought a priest to the house, and for a short time everything was okay until the night it happened, and now she was in the institution. And there was no change. He went home to his wife, as there was no change. As she swallowed the information as best as she could, it was hard going on knowing that she couldn't do anything to help her daughter while she was in that place. However, Ibiki, a close friend of the family, came by. It turns out that there was another person in the ward. This boy had self-inflicted wounds except for one. He claimed that his uncle was haunting him, as his name was Kenjin. Something was going on there as the priest did not work out, and the boy was being affected by it. They even had to place earplugs into his ears and strap him down because things were getting bad. However, Ibiki had a card, someone that the family believed can help. We then skipped towards a different location as a man was outside the door. His daughter was inside of the room as he heard her screaming, begging to help her. However, the man from before had told him that he should not come in no matter what he heard, no matter how much it sounded like he could help. So he stayed outside as he waited, praying, crying, as his daughter was inside, and he felt like there was nothing that he could actually do about it. And it sickened him to his very core that he could not do a damn thing about it, as he remained where he was, just there. Soon after, he heard the commotion as he held onto the door handle. He wanted to open it, but the man stepped out. It was a blonde, blue-haired individual who took his card. The man rushed inside to see his daughter that was now free from the possession that had taken over her. The man, now named as Naruto, walked out as he was called by Inoichi, who wants to know if this was a fraud or something, but the people really need the help, as Naruto told him that he will be there. Some time later, Naruto finally arrived towards their little side of home. As he was taken to the location, he walked past the door where Ino was staying, as he noticed something. Just a glance, but he said nothing though. So with that, they made their way towards Kenjin's room, as Naruto told them that they had to do it today, otherwise he would die. It was that day that all of Inoichi's beliefs were wrong, as he saw a demon, a monster that was so horrendous it shocked him to his very core, as Naruto was able to cast out the demon out of the boy and trapped it away and seal it back to wherever it came from. It was rather shocking. Returning back home, Inoichi was not able to fully comprehend to his wife what he had saw. However, he called Naruto once again begging for his help, as he needed to save his daughter, as he told Naruto what had happened. As Naruto was brought to the home, Inoichi's wife was skeptical as she heard about people doing this just to take advantage of a family and take them for all the money they had and lie to them. However, Naruto told her that he was not here for that, he was here to help, as Inoichi believed in Naruto and he told his wife just to believe in him as well. However, she was still skeptical, as Naruto asked to be taken towards the room, as Inoichi brought him up there. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself. Don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs coming your way guys, and stay tuned for anime symbol guys. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So without further ado or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin now guys. Both Naruto and Inoichi was walking up the stairs. You're gonna have to excuse my wife. It's been a rough couple of years. A few weeks after the start of this, she went deep into all that possession stuff, trying to find a way to help. Years of me telling her that it was nonsense seemed to have taken its toll on her, he said sadly, as Inoichi opened the door. Naruto stepped inside. It was definitely a room for a girl. All shades of purple. Light purple walls, a darker purple bed sets, all purple decks. It really wasn't hard to tell her favorite color, that was for sure. Did you need anything else? Inoichi asked from behind Naruto, as Naruto shook his head and stepped inside. As soon as he did, he smelled something. It was faint, however, he smelled it before. As he calmly stepped in, Kairi had arrived, standing next to her husband as she wanted to see this little performance for herself. As Naruto continued on, allowing his fingertips to run across the surface of her decks. His eyes were shut yet he was able to move around without bumping into anything. Once his fingertips reached the edge of the decks, his eyes snapped open. Tell me, said Naruto, as he did not look towards them. What did she tell you when she first came for help? Inoichi stepped further in. She said there was something going on in the house. I'm not sure exactly, he said, as he could not recall. As Naruto stopped at the window, he looked outside for a moment, as he spoke once more. Have you tried to contact the previous owners? Inoichi shook his head. No, it was actually a fraternity house for the community college. Naruto nodded. A frat house, huh? As Naruto turned, there was this look on his face that he could not understand. Tell me about Ino, he said sharply. He then clarified. What was she like before the incident? Before you moved here? Kairi was the one to answer as she had somewhat calmed down from the whole dinner fiasco. She was such a sweet, fun-loving girl. She loved to shop and hang out with others her own age. What about her hobbies, her interests, said Naruto. Inoichi scratched the side of his head. She liked sports, he said. She played volleyball, softball, and she also loved to read. Naruto nodded. You wouldn't happen to have a computer I can borrow? He asked. Inoichi nodded as he dug into the top drawer, as he pulled out the laptop. Kairi seemed uncomfortable with Naruto even being in the room, let alone use Ino's laptop. Regardless, she held her tongue. When the lock screen came up, Inoichi seemed confused. He looked at the keys like they were some kind of anomaly. Naruto could tell that something was wrong, as he looked towards the man. I'm sorry, he said. It's just, she never used passwords. Kairi stepped forward. It doesn't have a password. I used it the other day, she said. As Inoichi looked at her. Well, Did you put it on there? No. I just ordered a book and shut it down, she said. Well, someone put a password on there, he said, wondering if she was lying to him. It wasn't me, she said back to him. The two of them started to bicker about it as Naruto tuned them out. He focused his gaze on the screen. The locked screen was pitch black, allowing him to see the reflection of the room behind him. More importantly, the closet behind Kairi. He saw it. Naruto turned as he looked towards said closet. There was nothing but darkness. Looking back at the screen, he saw pale white feet swinging, like someone was hanging. He turned and walked towards the closet. He pulled out his lighter and flipped as he lighted it. As Naruto saw the string, he reached up and pulled it down as a light was clicked on. For the split second that the light emerged, Naruto saw something. He stepped towards the wall, dried up and cracked paint. That was what he smelled when he first entered into the room. It was covering something up. As Naruto pulled out his pocket knife, as he started to scratch the paint. Hey, what the hell are you? Kairi was about to ask until she saw what he was uncovering. Inoichi walked over as he asked aloud, "What is that?" Naruto continued to scratch until it revealed that there was a photo. Two boys, one with silver hair and one with black hair. The both of them smiled at the camera that was taking said picture, given the looks on their face and where they were looking. "I didn't know that this was here," Kairi said. As Naruto cut the lighter and walked out of the closet, he stepped towards the laptop as the both of them followed behind him. "We don't know who put the password on there," Inoichi said. "I got a work computer down in my..." He stopped as Naruto took off the cross around his neck and placed it in front of the laptop. The screen turned pitch black as it flickered in and out before. It came up with Ino on the front smiling, no longer password protected. Did he just unlock it with a crucifix? Kairi asked, as Inoichi was speechless. As Naruto went on the web browser and typed up something, they saw a picture of a dark-haired boy, much like the one that was on the photo in the closet. "You had a really shady realtor," said Naruto. "All I did was type your address in and this came up." "What is it?" Inoichi asked. 19-year-old college student Sai, no surname, was found hanging in his closet. A victim of suicide. His death was a result of mistreatment from his college art school professor, Donzo Shimura. He was found by his adoptive brother Shin 5 days after his death. There's an entire article here. I mean, you could have figured this out yourself. Okay, Kairi said. So a kid died in this house. That doesn't mean that he's haunting the house. Ino always had an active imagination. What do you mean? Naruto asked. She used to have a lot of imaginary friends when she was a kid. They stopped when she finally made some friends though. Inoichi answered. Even if this side kid is haunting her, why is she not speaking? Why is she not responding to anyone? Kairi asks. I read that ghosts of people that died are usually restricted to the area which they died at. So if this kid is haunting Ino, why is he not here haunting us? False, said Naruto. I'm not sure where you read that, but it's not true. Ghosts of those who died are not restricted to their death location. If they haunt a place of their death, it is because they have chosen that location to hide, or their daily routine at the end of their life is simply continuing in the afterlife, said Naruto as he pulled out a pack of cigarettes. Kairi wanted to tell him that there was no smoking in the house, but she also wanted him to elaborate. What do you mean hide? Hide from what? Naruto flipped his lighter top. From judgment, he said as he lighted his cigarette. They are either uncertain or unwilling to admit that they have died. As for why she won't speak, well, from experience, no one wants to talk to anyone that would rather call them crazy than help them when they are in need. Wait, uncertain? You mean they don't even realize when they're dead? Inoichi said. As Naruto nodded. Okay, but How do you know that he's haunting Ino? Kairi asks. I walked by your daughter's room. When I was at the hospital, earlier I asked you guys, what was her hobbies? And not a single one of you mentioned painting. Kairi seemed to have reached her breaking point. Okay, no, she said. No, this is too ridiculous. I'm sorry if we've inconvenienced you, but I want you to leave, she said, as she crossed both of her arms. Inuichi looked towards her, surprised by her outburst. Kairi, no, look, I know this. No, she said, looking towards him. Please tell me that you're not actually believing this. This will just scare Ino even more, she argued, as Naruto ignored what was going on and stepped towards the closet. I'm sorry, Mr. Uzumaki, but I would like you to leave my house, she said, as Naruto turned towards her. Inuichi told me that you used to believe in this stuff. He said that he was the one that convinced you, that it was all in your head. He said with his hands in his pockets. Please leave, she said once more. As Naruto nodded, I've met people like you many times before. Your husband was one of them. However, seeing is believing. As he blew smoke into the closet, he then turned to leave. The both of them were frozen in their spot. As Naruto was walking down the stairs, with each step down the stairs that Naruto took, the smoke that he blew in front of the closet door broke with whatever invisible force that was swinging right there. When it dissipated, she stepped forward as she waved her hand, thinking that it was some draft, some trick. When she was certain that it wasn't, her tear-filled gaze turned towards the door. As she rushed towards that, she heard the car door. She rushed towards the window to see Naruto driving off, as she was filled with regret after what she just saw. That is when she noticed a card on the windowsill, the black card with the phone number on it. Time skip. As Naruto came out of his car, the rain was pouring down. As he stepped up towards the house, he rang the doorbell. He heard laughter on the other side. The door opened as a silver-haired man answered. Oh, can I help you? He said. Before he responded, a much lighter voice came from inside. Daddy, is it the pizza man? Naruto tilted his head. I apologize. Am I interrupting something? Oh no, you're fine. No, baby, it's not the pizza guy. He responded back when he heard the person inside sigh, as he turned back to Naruto, who stuck out his hand. I don't mean to bother you, but my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm investigating a case that I believe that you can help me with. The man shook Naruto's hand and looked at him with confusion. Me? You're Shingori, correct? Said Naruto. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry, what is this about? Deciding that it would be best, he just came out with it. It's about your old friend. Sigh. Realization settled on his face as he called inside, saying that he would be outside for a bit, for her to continue on without him. His wife spoke up, as a voice came from the inside asking if everything was okay. His daughter, who was playing a game, wanted to continue, but he told her to go ahead and play without him. With that, Shin closed the door as he stepped out on the porch with Naruto. There were 2 seats there, as the both of them sat down. The rain was pouring. So, what? Did they reopen the case or something? Shin asked. I am not sure, said Naruto. I am here on a different matter, one you may not find completely true. Are you a cop? No, I'm not a cop. I'm a demonologist, sort of. A demonologist? He said, clearly not understanding why he was visited. And why are you here? Me, I asked, he said. Back in Konoha, the old frat house, a family moved in a few years ago. Their daughter started to experience paranormal phenomenon that the parents weren't experiencing. When they decided to do an investigation, an incident happened that sent her to a mental institution. Oh my, Shin said, feeling kind of bad for the girl. As Naruto nodded and continued on, I have reason to believe that the entity that Lashed onto her was your old friend Sai. I... Shin was speechless, as he was quiet for a while. I'm not sure what you want me to say. I mean, I'm sorry the girl is going through that. But it's gotta be some mental issue, or something, right? As Naruto looked at him. I mean, come on, ghost? Sai, a ghost? He said with a chuckle. It's actually a lot more lively than you think. Regardless if you believe it or not, I'm here to ask for your help. My help? What can I do? He asks. Curious. Naruto sat up in his seat. I was wondering, what do you know about the case? The officer that worked the case died a few years ago, or else I would have been there questioning him. The cops there would not disclose any information, so I came to ask you, said Naruto. Shin nodded as he thought it over. Well, our art professor, Shimura, was a real dick to everyone. He for some reason had it out for Sai more than everyone else though. I guess he saw potential in him. So he was drawn to his talent, Naruto stated. Yeah, Sai was absolutely amazing. Really amazing. He could do it all. But Professor Shimura was very demanding whenever it came to him. Sai and I went to high school together, so we were really close. We had our plan set up for where we would go to college and what we would both do, so yeah, we were very determined about it. But he changed when we got there. Change how? Said Naruto. Well, he just stopped being Sai. He was quieter, less active. All he did was paint, or sculpt, or draw. I know it's not uncommon for the major that he's in, which was art, but even when we're not doing anything regarding that or giving assignments, he was just always doing it, non-stop. Pretty soon it started to consume him. He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't sleep, or anything. All he did was stay in his room for days, going into weeks, working on what he was working on. What about that day? What happened then? Naruto said, hinting at the day he died. Oh, it was the day of our final assignments. Professor Shimura had bought a slot in the Konoha Art Museum local showcase. He said that the top assignment would be display for the top critics that come to visit Konoha that day. Sai was determined to win it. The moment we got back that day he started. For 2 weeks he worked on nothing else, even having private meetings with Professor Shimura, but he didn't win, said Naruto. No, he did not. Ultimately, that was what pushed him over the edge. That was what pushed him to it. When they began the investigation, I was questioned more than everyone else. When they found out how close we were, I told them everything I knew about it. What all would that entail? Naruto asks. Well, everything I pretty much just told you, and the fact that Sai always go over Professor Shimura's house. Turns out that was very big, in terms of what was happening to him. And why is that? Said Naruto. The official report was, Sai was being abused by him. What most people did not know was, Sai applied to the college using my parents as his legal guardians. When the police report came through, my father was given a detailed report along with a confession from Professor Shimura. Apparently there were signs of physical abuse, from burn marks and lashes on his back. When they questioned Professor Shimura, he claimed that he did abuse him. Sai apparently asked him for help to make his brush strokes perfect. He said all that he did was usher in a new face of the art community. He saw Sai's skills and thought he could bring them out to their fullest by using torture. Like training a dog through a shock collar, said Naruto. Yeah, sadly. I had no idea, man, Shin said. Naruto nodded. I am sorry for your friend. Now knowing this, I have reason to believe that his soul is scorned and he cannot find his peace. Shin sat back, mentally struggling with this. He couldn't exactly say that he believed it, but he didn't want to be rude about it. That's, crazy, I know, said Naruto. Trust me, I understand if you don't believe. Most people don't. Well, I mean it's crazy, right, Shin said. I mean, we're talking about actual ghosts. Like, ghosts. I know, said Naruto. Thank you for your time. I have enough information. As Naruto got up, Shin stood to his feet as well as he shook his hand. Okay. Well, if there's anything... Wait, hold on. As he wrote his number on a piece of paper and handed it to Naruto. With that, they parted ways, as Naruto made his way back to his car. Time skip. Naruto arrived back towards the hospital, a backpack over his shoulder. He was greeted by Inuichi. It was past midnight, so there wasn't many people here. Naruto, hey, he said, shaking his hand. Kairi is already there. She's trying to talk to her, but she still won't respond. We did what you said and told her that we believed her, but... Naruto nodded. Don't worry. If my suspicion is correct, it may not be her you're trying to talk to. As they walked down, Inuichi explained what had happened. Them having a priest come there and bless the house. And blessing Ino's closet, specifically. When they arrived, they saw Kairi, through the window, speaking to Ino. She saw them as she got up, as she made her way outside. She stood there as she looked at Naruto, as she looked nervous. She stepped forward and hugged him, wrapping her arms around his neck. As Naruto was a bit surprised at that, regardless he hugged her back. When they pulled apart, I'm so sorry, she said. It's fine. I understand, said Naruto, as she wiped her teary eyes. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but she was already on the verge of breaking down. Please save my baby girl, she said, as Inuichi wrapped her up in a hug. As Naruto nodded and opened the door. Before he stepped inside, he turned towards Inuichi. When he gets here, have him wait outside. Inuichi nodded, as Naruto's eyes went towards the piles of painting that reached up toward the ceiling. They would have the nurses remove them when she went to the bathroom or to take a shower. The first time he saw her face was when they were walking to Kenji's room, and that was only a glance, just enough to see that she had blue eyes. But now that he saw her up close, she was beautiful, quite flawless for someone to be in a place like this. As she was stroking the panel in front of him, her strokes were even and perfect, which confirmed a part of his suspicion. As Naruto took off his backpack, as he unzipped it and reached inside, he pulled out a can of paint and then a thick paintbrush. As Naruto dipped it inside, he looked around, looking towards the wall behind their bed. He splattered the black paint on the wall. However, he did not stop with one. He did again, and again, and again, until he felt it. She was looking at him. Naruto turned to face her. She looked shocked, almost afraid. If he see that, he will be angry, she whispered. Who will? Said Naruto. A look of desperation was on her face as she turned back towards her painting. Her hand was on her thigh, the one that she was not using, as she rubbed it back in front. Her bottom lip started to quiver. Who will be angry? Said Naruto. She grew more frantic as she started to paint faster. However, the strokes were still perfect. Naruto's hand shot out as he grabbed her painting arm. As he removed it from her hand, she looked away, looking down towards the floor. What's your name? Said Naruto. She did not react in the slightest. Once again, what's your name? Said Naruto. He was a bit more forceful. She did not move. She said nothing. Naruto dipped the brush into the paint as he looked at her. He then flicked it on her painting. Her eyes widened in shock. She started to shake her head. No, 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 no. She kept on chanting over and over. He held the brush in front of her. She tried to reach it, but he pulled it away. Tell me your name, he said. Shook her head no. As she heard the door shut down the hall, she dipped her hand into the paint as she started to cover the canvas. Gotta fix it. Gotta fix it, she said. It can't be fixed, said Naruto. She became more frantic. What's your name, said Naruto. She still said nothing, as she scrubbed aggressively. She slowly turned towards the door, before she turned towards the disaster that the painting was now. As her body language turned submissive, her hands dropped to her side as she was no longer moving or turning. At the door, Kairi and Inoichi were confused and worried. Kairi seemed like she was ready to charge in, demanding answers. They both were shocked that she was even talking or reacting in any way. There was a joyful relief but also worry when they watched her behavior. Shin had been the one to arrive, as he stood there. As Naruto looked towards her face, emotions now run through it. Worry, obsession, desperation, oppression. There was just so many. He raised his hand as he poked her on the back, her body trembling in fear. As he removed his hand and waited for her to calm down, looking towards the door, he caught Shin's eye and gestured for him to enter, as Shin was not sure how to feel. If this girl really was possessed. His phone vibrated. As he pulled it out, Naruto had sent him a message. Comfort Sai. That was what the message said. He looked towards Naruto in confusion. However, he saw the look and understood. As he was unsure, but he stepped towards the girl. Sai. He paused. He cleared his throat. Sai, he said. Her body froze up instantly. No more trembling. She turned, tears running down her cheek as she looked towards Shin and her parents. Shin was surprised that she even knew the name. The look in her eyes said that she knew him very well. It was an uncanny feeling. Sai, is that you? He said. He was afraid, of course. I couldn't do it, Shin, she said, regret in her tone. He was surprised by hearing his name as well. I couldn't win. My picture wasn't good enough. Even after all I did for him. Shin started to get emotional. She did not look like him, but this was Sai. This was really him. Sai, what are you doing here? He said. Ino seemed confused. I have to make another one. Another one that we can showcase for the museum. So we can make it, she said, getting quieter and quieter. Shin shook his head. Sai, you're not supposed to be here. You're dead. A look of shock rose on her face. No, he tried to argue. You died. 7 years ago. That realization hit him hard. Look at me, Sai. Sai, look at me, he said. She finally looked at him fully. Her gaze was one of disbelief. You're older. Yes, 7 years older. As Ino glanced toward his hand to see the ring. I thought marriages were for sap, he said in a joking manner. As Shin chuckled a bit, as he looked towards his ring. That statement solidified this moment 100%. There was only one person that he told that to, and that was Sai. Yeah, I've kind of become a sap, he said, laughing at himself. Sitting sideways in her seat, Ino's smile fell. As she looked down. How did I die? Shin could not muster up the courage to say that. Luckily, Naruto was there. You hung yourself. Ino spun around towards him, but the rope, it broke. It did not. Most likely, you regretted your decision at the last moment, as your life was fading away, and your spirit convinced itself that it did. How am I here? He said. As Naruto answered, you are possessing a young lady. She moved into your house 3 years ago. Sai looked around in curiosity, wondering where he was. Up until a few moments ago, he thought he was at his house. As he looked up, as he could see the people beyond the door, looking through the window. Tears. I'm sorry, I didn't know, he said. Shin stepped forward and placed a hand on his shoulder. I know you didn't, Sai. But it's time to go. But I don't know how. That's why I'm here, said Naruto. Shin, I need you to leave the room. He nodded and gave Ino one last look. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, Sai. I'm sorry. She remained quiet as she watched him walk towards the door. As Naruto stopped him, lead them down the hall. They can't see this. Shin nodded. The moment he got outside, a barrage of questions hit him. From the desperate parents, Kairi immediately refused, regardless. However, Inoichi remembered what happened, as he dragged Kairi along with him, despite her refusing. If Naruto said that they should not see this, they should not. As Naruto turned back towards Sai, what do I have to do? Sai asked. As Naruto pulled out a Bible and gestured for him to get to his feet, he did as he grabbed the chair and pulled it out of the way, making a lot of space on the floor as he lay down on the cold floor. And to his shock, Naruto climbed on top of him, straddling his waist. Naruto pulled the crucifix off his neck and whispered something in Latin. He then gently placed it on Ino's forehead. There was a sting to it like a spoon, an extremely cold spoon touching your skin. That pain brought a question. Am I going to heaven? Sai asked. As Naruto shook his head, slowly. So, I'm going to hell? Naruto nodded. I'm afraid so, he said. Sai seemed to understand as he nodded at the revelation. Will it hurt? As Naruto was straightforward. A lot. There was no reason for him to lie to a dead person, so yes, it will. As Sai lay back down, as Naruto drew a crucifix in the air, whispering words in an undescribed language. He then leaned down and started to whisper something into Ino's ear. As Sai started to feel himself slipping away, the last sight he saw was the white of the ceiling. The last sensation he felt was the cold floor on his back. Well, not his, another's. That is what he thought would be the end, but he felt the ground underneath him vanish as Naruto lifted up Ino's shirt, stopping at the top of her stomach. He then started to give her incorrect CPR, the way he was pumping his hand. It's where it's gonna hurt. As Sai was just lying there until a hand popped out from underneath him, grabbing onto his mouth. Then more and more came. They were scorching hot as they grabbed onto him, pulling him down. In Naruto's perspective, the hands were going through Ino's body and pulling Sai out. Ino's eye closed as Sai was yanked downwards. She then started to stir. Just like those fairy tale books that she used to read, Ino saw a beautiful blonde man hovering over her as Naruto rolled off of her and got up. Ino reached up as she rubbed her forehead. As Naruto pulled one of the empty water containers, she looked at him confused until it came up so fast as she grabbed the container and puked. She filled the container with strange black liquid that poured from her mouth. Naruto exited the room as he made his way to see Kairi and Inoichi. Shin was explaining to them. They immediately rushed towards him as he raised his hand. She's fine. Shell shock, but she's fine. A look of relief crossed their face as they rushed down the hall as quickly as possible. Time skip. 2 months later, fixed in her ear, Ino overlooked herself in the mirror. She was wearing a white sundress with a pair of black slip-ons. Her hair was placed in a loose bun at the top of her head. She leaned forward as she pinched her cheeks, mentally complaining about how pale her skin was. After that, she looked around her room as she reminisced. It's been a month since she's been back and things have basically gone back to normal. Or rather, what she would have imagined normal to be. That first day waking up, she felt like she had been dreaming for so long. Of course, waking up to see an attractive blonde man hovering over her did not scream reality either. She felt as what she came to know as reality was no longer there. Sai's reality was no longer there. She remained at the asylum for that following month, having to undergo many psychological evaluations with multiple doctors. The ones who had worked with her in the past were completely shocked and baffled that she was willing to speak. Of course, the only two doctors that knew the true reason was Ibiki and Inuichi. She explained to them that she was so heartbroken that no one would listen to her, so she stopped trying to explain. After the first year, she said like she was viewing her life from some mental stasis. Her voice was like gone. She just couldn't speak anymore. She could walk, eat, and see, but she just couldn't find the voice to say anything. She also revealed that she had no recollection of any of the painting that she created. She wanted an explanation as much as they did, so her dad called her Hero to explain. He said that it was most likely Sai personality taking over in territory that he was unfamiliar with. In other words, when she saw a blank canvas, Sai woke up and took over. Ino found it funny that she never met him. She saw him when she was awoke, and never again. Before she woke in that moment, she remembered his face. She remembered the first day that she saw him. She saw him through a piece of glass. Despite not saying a word, she knew that he believed her, and he understood her. Her mother and father asked her what she felt while she was possessed. She told them it was like living both lives. She could see what Sai believed that he see out of his eyes, but she could also see her true reality as well. It was like she was there in the house before. It was theirs, when it was back to a frat house. And she was the art student. It was amazing but yet terrifying at once. Her mother had called her dinner with her old friends tonight, as she looked herself over. The friends from 3 years ago who all heard that she went crazy. Her friends that she saw at their own high school graduation who probably had their own life at this point. This was not going to be too fun, especially knowing that she invited him. Ino dear, everyone is here, Kairi called out from downstairs. Ino sighed as she got to her feet as she made her way. All chatter come to a stop as they all looked towards her. Her friends that had heard that she went crazy. There were 4 of her old friends here. All of them looked different than she remembered. There was Sakura Haruno, a pink-haired woman who was considered her best friend, or at least closer than the others. Tenten, the 3rd female in their infamous trio. Kiba Inazaka, a guy, notorious for throwing the greatest parties back in the days when they were in high school. And finally, Choji Akimichi, the son of her dad's best friend. She was satisfied with the number of people. Ino! Sakura said, breaking the silence, as she rushed over towards her. Meanwhile, Naruto sat in his car, as he was flicking his lighter. There was no music playing, as he just sat there. His left hand was holding his phone as he expected a call to come in. His expression seemed rather exhausted, bags under his eyes, a droop in his shoulders. Finally, his phone vibrated as he answered immediately. Uzumaki. He paused, listening to the other side. Yeah, just don't overfeed him. I'll swing by in a few weeks. The last case was at the hospital. I could not take him. Some girl in a mental ward. Nope. It take as long as usual. You phone me anything. Kire, huh? Alright. Tell him it will be a few days. I'll head to the airport in a while. Call Deidara and let him know that I'm coming. Hanging his phone up, Naruto turned the car on as he put it in drive and accelerated forward. His engine roared and blazed down the dirt path at impressive speeds. As he was looking forward, there was a giant building. The closer he got, the more he saw. However, the speed that he was going, it seems like he was planning to ram right into it, as he showed no signs of stopping as he flipped a cigarette into his mouth. As Naruto accelerated, boom, he slammed right into the building. The car was total pieces, smashing all over the place. The door popped open as Naruto stepped out. It was rather shocking to see as he stepped into the light. There was not even a single scratch on him. Not even a mark. He opened the back of the vehicle as there was a briefcase, a key, leather gloves, and another pack of cigarettes. He then went to the other side and pried the door open as he picked up a helmet. He then walked around placing the helmet on as he went through to the abandoned lot. And standing there was a bike, a Kawasaki Ninja, as Naruto hopped on it, placing in the key, and revved off. The reason why he crashed into the building, unknown. Time skip. Dinner finished, her male friends were gone. Ino was in her room with Tenten and Sakura. The conversation to finish off the dinner still first on the agenda. She sat on her computer chair as she listened to her two friends spoke. Apparently, they have not spoken since high school either, so this was also a night for them to catch up. Sakura was speaking about her grueling time in medical school and the difficulties of her chasing her dream to become a doctor. Tenten was pretending to care. That's pretty much how the entire night has been going so far. Well, after her parents told the story of what happened to her when she disappeared. Of course, none of them believed a word that was said. They held their composure. They did not want to be rude, but Ino could feel it though, as they were now reluctant to bring it up, even though it was a big topic of the night. Their topic jumped around, but they refused to speak about anything talking about ghosts, religion, supernatural activity, or anything of the sort, as they tried to avoid that as much as they could. Ino was so deep in her thoughts that she did not notice. Earth to Ino, Sakura said. Oh, yeah, she said. Geez, are you okay? Tenten asked. You totally spaced out there. Yeah, I'm fine. I was just thinking, that's all. About the cute blonde your mom was talking about, Sakura asked. Ino raised an eyebrow. Cute blonde? Her words, not mine, Sakura said with a giggle. Yeah, what did he look like? Your mom said he was really cute, Tenten said. Sakura butt in before she could respond. And can I just say, that's a bit weird. He's our age, so that would be like her calling Kiba cute or something. She said, cringing at the thought in her head, as the three of them giggled at that, before they calmed down to hear what Ino had to say. I guess he was kind of cute. I only remember seeing him once. What did he look like? Tenten said, looking for specifics. Ino looked away, trying to remember him. He was blonde, with these bright blue eyes. Hang on, Sakura said. What if he's your cousin or something? Ino chuckled as she rolled her eyes. He's not. His hair is a brighter blonde, and his eyes are a much deeper blue. His body, Ino. What did his body look like? Tenten asked, as that caused the other two to giggle. When Ino calmed down, she spoke. I don't know, she said. I can't really remember. I told you I only saw him for a second. I didn't have time to look at him like that. What's wrong with you? Sakura said, perplexed by her. You're so different right now. I mean, you're even blushing right now. And she pointed towards the girl. Yeah, said Tenten. You seem a lot calmer. It's not bad, it's just strange coming from you. Ino shrugged as she was unable to form a good excuse. Well, it's just strange. However, it's great. Wonderful to have you guys back. Both of you guys. Sakura said, as Ino nodded, looking down towards the wood of the floor. Another wave of silence settled in. It made it a bit awkward. As Sakura chuckled, this is so weird. It feels like we're in high school once again. I know, said Tenten, as she and Ino joined in, under amused giggling. It's so weird. But it's like a good weird, she said. Yeah, a good weird, she said. We got to do this more often, Sakura suggested. Just something like this. Let's get together every now and then. School is just so stressful. I need a break from those snobbish, smart ass every now and then. Tenten nodded. Yeah, you're right. Working with my dad is hell. I'm sick of being stuck at the shop. Count me in. The two turned their attention to Ino. Yeah, she said, me too. I've just been here mostly. I don't even know if my mom will let me leave the house for a while. Well, I know you've been out of it for a while, Tenten said, speaking about her possession, which she didn't really believe. But you're 20 already. You're about to be 21 in like what? A month and a half? You're an adult. You can do what you want. Realization dawned on Sakura's face as she gasped. Ino, you're gonna be 21. What do? We got to do something for your birthday. And that's definitely not a party though. That's lame. And it might be too overbearing. Well, we don't really have to do anything. My mom will probably do something for me. She'll probably cook if you guys want to come over or something, Ino suggested. Tenten rolled her eyes with a sigh. She cooks all the time, Ino. That's not special. And besides, you need to spend time with your friends. Reattach with society and all that. Meet a guy or something. How about a club? Sakura quickly denied. No, she said. That's the same thing as a party, just with people that we don't know. We need something more private, for our friends. As the three of them sat there. As it hit Tenten, I know, she said. How about a camping trip? As the both of them looked at her, as they looked at each other, they denied it. Nah, I don't really like bugs and nature and all that crap, Sakura said. And I am not sleeping on the ground. Tenten rolled her eyes. No, stupids. Kiba mom is dating this guy that has a cabin out in Nakiri Woods. It's supposedly right by the lake. Kiba, Sakura said. He's probably lying. No, Choji said it was real. Apparently he took him and a friend up there after graduation. He says the guy never used it, and he know where he hides all the booze. Hey, that got my vote, said Sakura. As they looked towards Ino. I don't know, she said. I should probably ask my mom. Oh my god, Ino. You're a grown woman. Do you want to go or not, Sakura said. We'll tell Kiba to invite some cute guys, and we can have a little get together, she said. Come on. You're not gonna make us go alone, huh? Especially on your birthday. As Ino was quiet for a moment, as she seemed to have a mental conversation with herself as she shrugged. Okay. As the both of them smiled. Alright, Sakura said with a happy smile. As Ino shrugged it off, but she felt an odd sensation. As she thought about the camp, she didn't know why. But it was perhaps nothing, she thought. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.